Hi, Elizabeth. It's Gracielita responding to you here. First question, are you loving on yourself? You shared that you have grown in that area of loving on yourself because depending on your workplace, you have to be able to take care of yourself before you're able to take care of others. And I really like what you shared that, you're growing in that still. And looking back on my own reflection, I appreciate that because even though I may think one thing works for me, maybe it might change in the future. And who knows? Because, with life changes can come self love changes as well, depending on, whatever occurs for me. And so I like thinking in that way that I'm still able to grow in that aspect of self love and maybe come up with new things to do as well. So I love that. The video mentions that, we're our own advocate, and you say it in your response that you're in charge of your own well being and your own happiness. And I agree. I agree that we're responsible for our own happiness and well being. And taking care of ourselves is that responsibility. I appreciate your supervisor. You mentioned your workspace supervisor allows you guys that time to make sure that you are okay and that you're doing well. And I support like mental health days, and I know that we all have times in our lives where we're not doing the best, and for your supervisor to be able to do that for you guys and always check up on you guys to make sure that you're doing good is, I think, is really cool. So that's awesome. Also, you mentioned that your form of self-care is naps. I love naps. Naps for me are like a stress reliever, and when I take a nap, like even a 10-minute 15-minute nap, I'm able to just like block everything out that I'm stressing about in that moment. I can take a little 10-15 minute nap, wake up and feel refreshed. Like I'm like, it's a whole new day for me. So I agree about the naps. When we're looking at two takeaways from Mac Miller's video, you gave a great interpretation of the song, and I like that you said it was like he was mentally and physically trapped in the box. I didn't think about it that way, and I think as I'm reading through everyone else's response, it's different. I noticed that everyone sees things differently depending on their own experiences and like how they're feeling in that moment. And that's one of the reasons I love music and I love sharing music with others, is because again, everyone interprets it differently, and one person who listens to a song is going to have a whole different experience than another person listening to the song. But just being able to hear those experiences and those interpretations of everybody else, I think, is also what music does to bring us together. But I really liked your interpretation of it, him in the box being mentally and physically trapped, because a lot of times, that's why we don't do self-care, is because we're too trapped in like the negative areas or like the self-harming areas, that it's hard for us to get out of that and tell ourselves that it's okay to have self-care. So thank you for sharing. Two examples of self-care that you mentioned were the cleaning and the face masks. I can relate to these two so much. And yes, I know making time for ourselves is so hard, and making time for others, it may not be. But definitely these two are some for me that are very like not time consuming, and I think they can be one of the more easier ones. For me, I said I related to the face mask because when I'm out at like the dollar store or Walmart or Target, like literally I see a cute face mask and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get that. And honestly, I have a whole drawer full, and I like I think for me, sometimes the self-care act comes in actually just buying the masks and like collecting them. I feel like I do them, but not as often as I buy them. But definitely like buying the fun ones is also self-care because it just brings me happiness. And then the cleaning and organizing, I can relate to this more of like the little things. So like my drawers, every so often when I'm like stressing out or whatever, I tell myself, you know what, you need to clean something, organize something, because you need to like gather your thoughts or even like let loose of your thoughts and just start from scratch. So I'll like forget about something and I'll go fix my drawers of all my clothes, organize my closet, and then by the end I'm like, okay, I'm done, I'm refreshed. I can go on about my day. Another thing that you said was the candle. Yes, as soon as I'm done cleaning my whole room or like a space in the house, I put a candle too. We love Bath and Body Works. But yeah, I agree as well. Thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth, and I'm excited for class and see what others have to say as well. Bye.